Who's ready to talk about Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crushing It? First of all, I'd love for everyone who has read, if you read Crush It, please let me know. I read the book. I thought it was really good. Yes. Thank you. All likes, hearts, comments, all greatly appreciated. Tonight, we're talking about his newest book, Crushing It. So first and foremost, if you don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, you must be like living like under a rock or something. He's like, talk about mind share. He has, he's taken over social media. He's taken over media. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great book. So great, Tina. So you can actually get your copy of Crushing It by going to dressingroom8, the number 8.com. That's my website. And you can pick up your book there. You can get the Audible version. You can get the hardback. You can get the soft paperback. Really, yes, go and get the book. It's awesome. So what is this book about? So Gary, like I was mentioning, he's everywhere. He does everything. He grew his father's wine business from like 6 million to 60 million, something like that. He has his own media company, media powerhouse rather. I think it's like over 150 million worth or something. Awesome. Thank you, Tina. And, and beyond that, he's ventured into sports. I think he recently, if it hasn't already happened, he has like a conference that's about like real estate. And he's just everything. I think his main thing is that at the end of the day, use social media to succeed. Put yourself out there. You can live the life you want at any age, regardless of your background, which I really appreciate that being his message, because a lot of people will they'll tell you all the reasons why you can't do something. And that's nonsense, right? You gotta go out there and live your life. So do it. And I think this book is going to be a helpful guide for everyone. For anyone who's trying to understand a little bit more about the social media platforms available to you, as well as what does it mean to succeed. And what's interesting about this book is he talks about his, kind of successes and his belief system. And if you know Gary, it's always it's a good time. It's always a good ride, right? But he also highlights a lot of entrepreneurs in this book. And so if you're one of them, shout out to you for making the cut, for being in this book. That must be quite an honor. And then also, it's been interesting to learn from various people in various different industries, various statuses in their social media kind of hierarchy as to where they're at with crushing it in their space. And I thought it was a really good book. I thought it was interesting for sure. So that's what we're here to talk about. First and foremost, I think what's always important for a book club is to kind of get right into the reading of it. So there's a couple of pages I want to highlight. If you have the book, please go along with me with your book. If not, I'm going to open up and talk about it. So first thing, chapter 1. Right? He talks about the path is all yours. And he has a quote, "An entrepreneur is someone who finds a way," by Chandras McBride, right? Awesome sauce. What's interesting is on page 14, he talks about some stats that I think all entrepreneurs need to think about when it comes to how social media is really changing the game for things. He says, YouTube's daily viewership is closing in on TV's 1.25 billion hours per day as television viewership falls every year. So that's interesting. Why? Because we still have companies that put out ads on TV, but ultimately, if more viewership is going to be continuing online, which that's the trend, and I really don't think that's going anywhere, then we're going to be seeing more advertisements, more money spent in the digital space, which is where it probably should be from the beginning. So there's that. 1 in every 5 minutes spent on mobile is spent on Facebook's apps and services. Now, recently, I know Facebook got a hit from some interesting behavior that had happened, during the election, as well as, like fake accounts and all this, but they're cleaning up things. Listen, I'm a diehard Facebook girl. You're never going to see me turn my back on it. Facebook started the social media train engine that we're all on. So at the end of the day, like, as much as people are like, I'm not going to be on Facebook, like, guys, there are billions of people on this platform. If you have a business, if you're looking to make a name for yourself, you're going to be here. You're going to be here. It's a free resource that you can use. It's low cost advertising that you can take advantage of and reach thousands of people. Exactly. You love Facebook. It is what it is. Like, I think that nothing is perfect, but I'm grateful and happy to be able to be a part of this platform, to be able to be in this moment with you. So stop dogging out Facebook, all you haters. It's the Bob, and get with it for your business. Another thing to think about, every minute, 65,900 videos and photos are posted on Instagram. Another platform that you should not be sleeping on. Did you hear the number I just said? Every minute, 65,900 videos and photos are posted on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram and you're serious about your business, you need to think about, what does serious mean to you? And I think that that's what Gary Vee is always talking about on social media. That's like, you know, these people who have high aspirations and high declarations as to what they're accomplishing and what they're doing in this world, but then they're not on Instagram, they're not on Facebook. Like, okay, you're either in it to win it or you're not in it, the game at all. Get in the game. That's like what I would say to you. Another thing, over 3 billion snaps are created each day on Snapchat, where over 60% of ads are watched with the audio on. 3 billion snaps. Now, granted, recently I saw that they also had like a loss in some viewership and stuff. Some celebrities were like, they're over it, whatever. Listen, I mean, even myself, I have to, I think I'll be exploring some Snapchat stuff for Woken Free for sure, but definitely Dressing Room Aid as well. We all, just because something's more work doesn't mean you can't add it in. It doesn't mean it's not important. So that's just like page 14. All of those nuggets that we just literally went over, nearly, nearly 10 minutes, just that, right? So there's that. If you follow me along, we're going to go on to page 29, right? And this is interesting. So he says, you know, intent. In business, the how matters, of course, but the why matters just as much, maybe more. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? To share your knowledge, to help people, to build something that leaves a legacy, to make a good income, to give yourself and your family financial security and breathing room, to have fun with a creative outlet, to create community. All of these are great reasons for building a business and becoming an influencer. Notice what isn't on the list. With entrepreneurship becoming so trendy, a lot of people are calling themselves entrepreneurs who really aren't. They should call themselves wantrepreneurs instead. And I wish they do this before they ruin the reputation of real entrepreneurs, the same way unscrupulous brokers ruined how some feel about real estate agents, or the way ambulance chasers and media hounds tarnish our opinion of lawyers. Ugh, it goes on and on and on. So I think there's a couple of things out of that. First and foremost, you might be watching this because you're a fan of Gary Vee. You may be watching this because you're a fan of Dressing Room Aid. Woo! Or you might be like, I don't know how I arrived here, but this chick's talking and like, let's have fun, guys. Whatever, right? Things happen in our lives. And what's important is to always think about the why we're doing something. And especially as an entrepreneur myself, as someone who coaches and consults women business owners and creatives, you really got to have a why, because entrepreneurship is harder than working for someone else. Do not ever think it is easier. You literally can work 80 hours as opposed to the 40 hours and make even less than you could be making working for someone else, but you're working for yourself, you're growing your business, you're building. Now, granted, thank you, Tina. Granted, if you are working and you are superseding what you would have made working for someone else, that's dope. That's the golden arch, right? That's what we're all trying to achieve. But the point is, have your why. Be clear on your why. Why? Because if you're not, your outcome is going to be a mixed result, right? Maybe you'll succeed, maybe you won't succeed. For me, I wanted to do entrepreneurship because I wanted control over my time. I wanted control over my creativity. I wanted to feel like everything I did was intentional and I wasn't just kind of living this unconscious, like just run of the mill, wake up, do this and not have any passion or feel like what I'm doing has an impact, right? And so that drives me, that connectivity with others, especially women, empowering women to know that you can have your side hustle, you could have your own business. I want women to know that they can do anything, because disrespect, guys, but women, we're powerful beings. We are powerful beings. The feminist in me knows it. The feminist in you knows it. If you decline your feminism, hey, that's a whole other conversation. But I want to make my life matter and be successful on my terms, and entrepreneurship affords me that. And so that's my why. But you've got to have your why, right? And if you're not sure about your why, that's okay, right? Like, that's what life's about. But work towards getting to that answer. So when the next time someone comes to you and says, oh, what do you do? And then you say it, and then they're like, oh, well, why do you do that? Listen, it needs to be clear, concise. You know your why. The world knows your why. The world is hearing your why through your actions, through your social media, through the content and the platform you put out in this world. So know your why. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. And again, this is conversational. Write in, comment, questions. I love it. Please. Next, I would like to do 83 to 84. Don't you love reading, guys? It like fills my heart. Documenting. So at the bottom of the page, the last paragraph. Documenting isn't valuable because it captures how interesting or not you are now. It's about, thank you. Exactly. You have to have, Tina says, exactly. You have to have a peace of mind, and a peace of mind for me is doing me and my business. Exactly. Yeah, that's sanctitude, that peace that you arrive. I completely agree with you. To be honest, I've never been happier. I've never worked harder in my life, and I've worked hard. Listen, I'm a lawyer. I have worked. But I've never worked in a way that my business has pushed me to. And I'm so grateful for every moment, every lesson, every challenge, because I know it's only stretching me and making me bigger and better. So I love it. Back to the reading. Documenting isn't valuable because it captures how interesting or not you are now. It's about preparing for how people will watch you 10 years from now. Cassius Clay was only 21 when he declared, I'm the greatest. But then he went about proving it and became Muhammad Ali. Why can't you do the same, even on a smaller level? Think about how you feel when you watch a clip of Justin Bieber singing when he was 12, or video footage of Michael Jackson rehearsing for the Thriller video in a dance studio with his choreographer. Couldn't you imagine if we could watch Vera Wang cut her first patterns and sew her first wedding dresses? It goes on and on. What is he talking about? If you know Gary Vee, you know that he's all about the documenting the experience. I completely agree. How are you going to know when things worked, didn't work if you didn't document? How are you going to be able to look back and kind of assess your journey? Documentation is key, right? We do it. If you were an accountant and you were like, oh my God, I got to know what's happening, right? Yeah, you got to document. Hi, Monty. Thanks for joining. So document. What does that mean for you? I'll give you an example for me. So for me, documentation is through my blogging. I do documenting through that. I journal for myself. I document through that. I do these videos. I do live streams. These allow me to have content through the Dressing Room Mate Book Club for videos that I put out. I recently started the Undress Your Mind series. If you haven't checked that out, facebook.com/dr8fashion. Document what you're doing, document what you think, document what's going on in the world, the current phase that everything's going. Exactly. Leaving your footprint. Exactly, Tina. If you are not documenting, you're not able to give those breadcrumbs for the youth, the people coming after us. Because at the end of the day, if you are interested in being a good leader shows others how they can do what you do and super past what you're doing. So we've got to document. And I think that Gary Vee definitely documents his journey, right? If you're a fan of the Gary Vee daily podcast he is constantly doing, he has the audio experience that he's doing. He's constantly sharing his world with us. And I think that it is incredible that he's opened up to that extent, because guys, it's not easy, right? It's not easy to always be on camera. It's not easy to always record, but there's so much that can be learned from this process. It's really quite amazing. So if you haven't considered doing it, and maybe say, okay, Tasha, I don't want a podcast. Okay, maybe you don't have a podcast, right? But could you journal? Could you blog? Could you have some audio clips, right? How can you document? I think the key to business and the key to life is looking at what's happening and looking at what you need to do and making it work for you, right? We all are different people, so thus we have to have different strokes for different folks. But at the end of the day, how you document will be different from how I document. But the point is to document, right? So you can get behind that. Okay, next couple of pages as we are, before you know it, we'll have to be winding down. On page 209, it talks about Facebook. So again, if you have your book, Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk, follow along. 209. And if you haven't got it, like Tina, go to dressingroom8.com. You can see the book on the right-hand panel of the website, or if you're on your phone, you'll just scroll down to the bottom. You can get it through Amazon. It's awesome. So, you know, he talks about, you know, just more stats, right? Facebook remains the juggernaut of the social media game, a platform on par with YouTube for personal brand building and wealth creation. Again, personal brand building and wealth creation. That may come to us as a surprise to a few readers. Facebook is often thought of as the old foggy platform, the place where boomers and Gen Xers share pictures. Just ordered, thank you. Just, you know, families and fill out questionnaires to find out which Game of Thrones character they most resemble. Not the place where the young generation is spending its time and money. That's just not the case. It has almost 2 billion monthly active users. Now that number has reduced because they've taken away accounts, but again, I still think they're over a bill. He also states here that 1.15 billion daily active users are mobile. You know, if you're crushing it on Snapchat, YouTube, or Facebook, but don't have a full throttle Facebook strategy, you're severely limiting your potential and growth. Listen, you got to get on the Facebook game, right? So that's just some more stats. But what I think I'd love to do is talk a little bit more before our time runs out for our book club is some things that I took away from the book. And again, feel free to take notes, feel free to write in questions. If you read the book as well and you were like, oh, what did you think about this? I'd love to engage. If you want a second part of this, let me know. You know, I'm all about communication, guys. So first and foremost, how was the book structured? It was structured essentially like by concept and then also by platform, right? So he'd be talking about an idea and then he'd be talking about, you know, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, like each platform had its own chapter. So that to me, like logistically made sense. And then he threw in individual entrepreneur stories throughout the chapters. So you're reading and then you're reading how someone is crushing it at this or how someone's challenges led to, you know, and again, there's so many dimensions. So get the book, dressingroom8.com. You will not be sorry that you got this. This thing is amazing. Okay, things that I didn't like about the book. Is it possible to publicly say something that bad? Listen, I think the only thing I would have, my only critique, to be honest, of the book was the fact that Gary did keep mentioning the reference to Crush It, the first book. I know, right, Khalil? It's crazy. So he wrote Crush It several years ago, and then this is kind of the second rendition of, you know, things that have changed with social media. My whole thing is if you didn't read the first book, then you're going to keep seeing these reference points to crush it, crush it, crush it, and then you might be like, well, that has no bearing on you, so... So that's my only critique, that like at the end of the day, I think each thing that he does really stands on its own and it has its own validity and its own kind of like empowerment. So I didn't necessarily see the necessity to keep harping back on Crush It, but I get it. It's the kind of the precursor to this version. So I get that, but that's about my only critique. Did I love it? Hell yeah, I loved it. Gary Vee's dope. Like, he's just dope, you know? Like, he tells it how it is. He keeps it real. Did I love him always? Listen, the first time I heard Gary Vee, I was like, this dude. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. You know, yeah, you can, what was I going to say? Also, Tina's getting the first book. Awesome. So, what you can do is also, if you go to the dressingroom8.com website, if you click on my recommendations, you can see my book recommendations there. And that can also be helpful for other books everyone's looking for. So, you know, I think the reason I didn't like him is because he has these like grandiose statements that he makes, right? He'll be like, if you have a job, you can't be a, you know, entrepreneur or whatever. And like something along the lines of that. And, you know, that he makes bold statements and sometimes they can kind of not rub people the wrong way, but I think that they are very shocking in nature. And so you have to, but once you like get past the initial jolt of some of the things he says, you're like, I got you. Like, you're just like 100% in it to win it. You just don't have time to coddle people. Life is too short to be coddled. Let's get it together. So but since then, I would say that I've been very religious in absorbing and also thinking and having trying to execute some of the things he's also saying. So I think that at the end of the day, like he says, he doesn't want people listening and just listening for listen's sake. That's not doing you anything. Execute, right? Just go out and do it, and like stop with the beeping excuses, as he likes to say, right? Except he says the explicit term. And there might be children watching, so I'll keep it PG, guys. But I love what he says. Now, what were things that I learned from this book? I say this phrase all the time. I don't know if you know. People can rationalize anything, right? So what do I mean by that? The fact is, people will say, oh my God, I'm so busy. I don't have time for social media. It's just like this extra thing. Guess what, guys? If you don't have time for something that can essentially put your business at the forefront of what you're doing, then you don't know what you're in the business of. And what Gary Vee says is everyone needs to think about the fact that your business is kind of like, think of like having a magazine, he says, and also your business, right? The social content you put out is how you continue to make yourself relevant. If you don't want to be relevant, why do you have a business? You've got, it's that classic phrase that we all grew up. If a tree in the forest falls, it doesn't make a sound if no one's nearby, right? Like, if you're doing amazing work and no one knows it, then how are you surviving, first and foremost? But secondly, why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah, Tina says, my mom says any excuse is an excuse. Exactly. Perfecto, right? Excuses are great when we want to rely and we want to have a crutch. But guess what? They don't have any weight or value to them, because, if we were to have a meeting and you said you couldn't get here because at the end of the day, thanks, Khalil, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Get with it, live your life, commit to your commitments, and cut the bull. Another thing is, I would say, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, the thing about new platforms, right? With social media, there's new things coming out, and he actually talks about some other new things that I had to like explore and be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Just because something's new and it's requires a little bit of extra work doesn't mean you should completely discredit it, because for all maybe your game on Facebook and Instagram's like, okay, you jump onto this other platform, you're first to market and you're like killing it, and that helps you build your audiences elsewhere. Like, wouldn't you be so pissed off if you didn't just take the time to understand what the other platform is and what's going on? Don't discount something just because it's extra work. That's my takeaway there. Also, something to keep in mind, I see a lot of content about like hard work is all that matters. Guys, you can work as hard as you want, but if you're not working smart, if you're not thinking and reflecting and taking the time to assess the work that you're doing, you can be caught in a rut of nonsense, right? Do not get caught out there. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Know the difference. Know the difference for your work and for your business and for your life. And a part of doing that is continually educating yourself with content like Gary Vee, with content like Damon John, like content by Tony Robbins, like by leaders, thought leaders who are giving us this information. And so much of it is free, accessible to you. Exactly, Tina. Strategic planning. We can't just work for work's sake. We've got to have a plan. We've got to understand why we're doing what we're doing. So that's another tidbit. And then failing, right? So much of people are like, so many people I speak to are so afraid of failure. And it's really concerning to me, because at the end of the day, if you're not failing, I beg to ask if you're really succeeding, right? Like, how can you be having a business and everything works 100%? Everything works perfectly. Like, first, perfection is a fiction. So if you haven't had that fall, if you haven't had a challenge, I beg to question whether or not you're really invested in what you're doing. Thank you, Khalil. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we have to, and it's hard, right? I'm a Virgo. I love to succeed. I love to constantly, meet a challenge and like kick it out of the park. but you've got to understand when something doesn't kick out of the park. It's okay, but why did it? That's the key. I know that when I've tutored and like other things that I do, like the key I tell everyone is it's not about the failure, right? Or quote unquote, and I don't actually believe in failures. I think failures are just teachable moments. So I don't actually live in my reality. There is no such thing as just a failure. Everything is a teachable moment, whether it's a success or a quote unquote failure by society's terms. So think about when things are not going well. Why are they not going well? What was your part in it and what were other parts in it, right? It's getting hot. I'm going to open up the scarf a little bit. Woo! Okay. Now I can continue. Even that, right? It's like, oh gosh, unstripping on my Facebook Live. Oh no, Jesus. What other things? Would, and we're winding down now, so we have about 5 minutes left. Would I read another book by Gary Vaynerchuk? What do you think the answer is? I want everyone tuning in to tell me. Would I not? Oh, okay. Tina says, I had a fear of failing, but I overcame it because I made it a positive by learning from it. Exactly. You learn from every experience in life. If you're not learning, then you're not, I beg to question if you're living. Life is about learning, evolving. It's about, like Denzel Washington, I think, says, fall forward, right? Like you have to fall. It's a part of the process. So exactly. It is hot. Jesus. Okay, so we've got to learn how to embrace failure and think of it as teachable moments. And then I think it'll be a lot easier for people, right, people? The answer to my question is hell's yeah, I would read another book by Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, Gary, listen, I think you're dope, dude. Keep doing what you're doing. I commend you for all the hard work and all the energy you give to us, because it's really a testament to the type of character you have, sir. So keep going. I'm a fan. I'm on the Gary V train. Whoever isn't is like completely out of their mind. Get on it, guys. Get on it. Now, questions. I always like to end my sessions here. Do I have additional questions for Gary V? Okay. I have so many questions that I need to be on the Daily Gary V show to ask him in person. So Gary, this is my call out to you. I have questions to ask you. I want to ask you in person. I know you have the answers. Let's schedule it, sir. Let's get it popping. Okay. I'm in New York. Holler at your girl. And for anyone here joining, right, obviously, if you have questions for me, not beyond even just the book club, but like generally, my email address is natasha@dressingroom8.com. Again, the website, dressingroom8.com. Holler at your girl. I'm here. I'm all about connectivity. I think if you haven't heard, my life motto is meet someone new, learn something new every single day. You've got to learn, connect. That's the key to life. So I'm all about it. You want to holler at your girl, holler at me. But holler about business, education, fears, challenges. I get some other types of hollers and I'm like, hey guys, that's another episode. Stay tuned for my what not to do on what to do and what not to do on LinkedIn. Go to facebook.com/dr8fashion. You can see all my events. Go to the events tab. Woo! I cannot wait to drop some gems on that conversation, because I don't know about you, but my LinkedIn has been hit up in ways that have been really profoundly interesting. Definitely. Thank you. Have a great night. Yes, we are ending the show. So what's the next book for everyone interested? It is the Unshakable book Unshakable by Tony Robbins. So if you're a fan, I'm a fan of Tony. I love him. I think he's amazing. He's been killing it for 20 plus years. I mean, he's been rocking this game. So that's the next book, guys. We're going to get deep on finances. That's what that's all about. So, hey, Daryl, thanks for joining. So if you are just tuning in, make sure that you subject. Oh, interesting. What are you suggesting, Daryl? You have a subject that you want to ask about? Let me know. But yes, Unshakable by Tony Robbins is all about financial success for those who are interested in getting up their finance game. I cannot wait to discuss that for next month. Again, what is the Dressing Room 8 Book Club? Once a month, we meet 30 minutes. We talk about a book. We talk about some passages. We talk about kind of memorable things that I took from the book. You guys share your thoughts with me. and it's a phenomenal evening. And with that, we have like 1 minute to go. So last minute things. Again, if you want to know what we're reading next, go to dressingroom8.com. You can sign up for the book club. You can buy the next book for every next book club that we're meeting. I'll put up the next book tomorrow so that if anyone wants to get the Gary Vee book today, they're watching this after the live stream, they're welcome to do so. Also, my recommendation page, get it there. I'm burning up. It's so hot. I hope you are blessed and well wherever you are. Thank you for joining and tuning in. It's 7:30 on the dot, guys. Peace. It's been real. Alrighty. Thanks for joining. Bye.